Chapter 1, Wilderness, Survival. There are several individuals to introduce this time. The first is Hugh Wilder, a member of the board of directors of the New World Development Team, a renowned expert in various programming languages, and a master hacker. He is the person who personally created the New World game system from scratch. Next is Evelyn Harper, the lead designer of the New World project. She is responsible for the overall design of the game, including worldview, art style, and character design. Her meticulous attention to detail and unique artistic vision have made New World a visually stunning and immersive experience. Then we have Lucas Garner, the head of the New World operations team. He is responsible for the game's daily maintenance, server operations, and player support. His team ensures the smooth and stable operation of the game, providing players with a seamless gaming experience. Following him is Paul Hughes, a member of the New World Development Team, an expert in security and network protection, and a master hacker. He is responsible for the security of New World. It is said that he is also a former member of a certain well-known hacker organization. We also have Ethan Stone, the head of the New World game planning team. He is responsible for the game's content planning, including quests, events, and gameplay mechanics. His team continuously introduces new and exciting content to keep players engaged and entertained. And then there's William Austin, the head of the New World technical support team. He is responsible for providing technical assistance to players, resolving in-game issues, and ensuring a smooth gaming experience. His team is dedicated to helping players overcome any technical challenges they may encounter. Next, we have Akira Oda, the head of the New World art team. He is responsible for the game's visual assets, including character models, environments, and special effects. His team's dedication to high-quality art has made New World a visually stunning game. Finally, there's Lola King, the head of the New World marketing team. She is responsible for promoting the game, attracting new players, and building a strong community. Her team's efforts have helped New World become a widely recognized and popular game. Ding! Hugh Wilder heard a buzzing sound in his ears and suddenly woke up. The stench of mold and sour decay, mixed with the pangs of hunger, swept over him. He surveyed his surroundings, his eyes filled with bewilderment. Welcome to Wilderness Survival. Who? Hugh Wilder suddenly stood up, listening to the voice near his ear. However, due to not having eaten for a long time, he experienced some low blood sugar, and after getting up, he just felt his vision blacken. The voice in their ears continued. This is a game without an end date, and your goal is to survive. There is no human civilization in this world. Only wild beasts exist among your kind. In other words, everyone but you is a beast. In the wilderness, each day consists of 24 hours, consistently divided into 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. When night falls, you had better stay quietly indoors. Every day at midnight, your base will randomly land in a new wilderness location. When two bases are not far apart, congratulations, you have neighbors today. If neither you nor he likes to eat human flesh. 4. Various resources exist in the wilderness, including but not limited to flora and fauna, food, materials, and treasure chests. Don't think that getting a treasure chest makes you a lucky king. It might contain a gas bomb. The distance each person can explore daily is limited. The higher the base's level, the farther one can explore. The prerequisite is that you can make a round trip in one day. The wilderness offers no safe haven, not even your own home. If you can plant pea shooters all around the house. I'll take back the latter half of what I said. 7. Hee no more 7, good luck. After hearing all the prompts, the sudden dizziness Hugh Wilder had experienced earlier had significantly subsided. But his stomach and throat were still sending messages to his brain. Food, water. If you don't give it to me, I'm going on strike. Hugh Wilder looked around and found only 4 earthen walls surrounding him, with a small window about 20 centimeters wide on one of them. Looking up, one could see the faint light seeping through the roof. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have discovered the thatched cottage belonging to Hugh Wilder. Straw hut, trash deer base. Believe me, everyone now lives in a place like this, including the world's richest person and the President of the United States. To hell with the thatched hut. I want water, food. A steaming bowl of noodle soup would be best. Hugh Wilder merely glanced at the prompt and then started looking all around. Through the faint light seeping from the windows and roof, he vaguely saw a wooden door, and next to it, a wooden box. There must be something in here. Hugh Wilder pounced like a hungry tiger, his eyes full of hope as he opened the wooden box. Ding! Open the wooden box. It may contain one of the following: food, tools, or weapons. You can exclude any one option. Damn it. Does this thing come with a lottery draw too? Weapons. After excluding the other choices, the wooden box slowly opened. Inside were half a bottle of mineral water and a partitioned piece of bread. Food, it's food. Actually, there was still quite a bit inside, but for Hugh Wilder now, nothing else could fit in his mind besides these 2 items. Even a diamond, as big as a pigeon's egg. 5 seconds. He swallowed the mineral water and bread in just 5 seconds. I'm alive again. Hugh Wilder took a deep breath, which only slightly alleviated his thirst. As for hunger, when someone is extremely hungry, the first bite they take only makes them hungrier. However, this was enough to support his subsequent activities. Ding! Congratulations, host, for discovering 1 bottle of Nong Fu spring mineral water and 1 loaf of old Soviet brand sawdust bread. Farmer's spring water, sawdust bread. No wonder it felt a bit stuck between my teeth. Hugh Wilder shook his head, paying no more heed, and instead continued to bury his gaze in the wooden box. Congratulations, host, on discovering a wooden strongbox, common. Wooden safe, common. What? You expect a wooden thing to be your safe? Do you need a referral to a mental hospital? A silver pocket watch and a leather-bound notebook. There was nothing else. Hugh Wilder picked up his pocket watch and pressed the button on top. The cover instantly sprang open, with the hour hand pointing to 8 and the minute hand pointing to 2. 8:10. Congratulations, host. You have discovered a silver pocket watch, common. Silver pocket watch, common. Believe me, there's no pawn shop here. Don't try to trade this for a farmer's wife. I'm talking about Nong Fu Spring. Hugh Wilder's mouth twitched. He casually put the pocket watch into his jacket pocket and bent down to pick up the leather-bound notebook. Congratulations, host, on discovering a leather-bound notebook, common. Leather notebook, common. Open it, everything you want to know is inside. Beyond the erotic paintings. Who'd want to watch that kind of stuff seriously? We all watch videos now, don't we? He opened the first page of his notebook, on which was drawn a thatched cottage, with an upgrade button marked in the lower left corner. Hugh Wilder tried tapping it. Upgrade to a log cabin. Materials consumed: timber 0100, rope 050, rustic cabin blueprint 01. So, you can't independently modify the cabin. You have to rely on the system. He turned to the second page, which was marked with the 2 large characters, blueprint, but below it was blank like a eunuch. Nothing at all. Continue turning the page. Hugh Wilder was startled by the sight that greeted him the moment he opened the 3rd page. Lines of messages popped up across the screen at lightning speed, as if hundreds of hawkers had been pulled into one chat group. Help! I just opened the door and found it's full of cockroaches outside. I can't get out at all. Cockroaches, they're high in protein. I have nothing outside. Damn it. A cockroach the size of a mouse. You eat it and show me. There's food in the wooden box, isn't there? Just hold on for a bit. You can come out after the cockroaches leave. Food? What food? I can't take it anymore. I'm starving. Even if it's cockroaches outside, I'm going out. The page froze for a moment. And soon other messages scrolled up. The two guys who were just discussing cockroaches have stopped talking. Hugh Wilder didn't turn another page, but instead looked up toward the entrance. Cockroaches. I hope I don't encounter it. Hugh Wilder prayed, then turned to the fourth page. On it were the words shop, with sell and buy marked on either side. He first clicked purchase, hoping to buy water and food there. You click into it, and there's nothing inside. It seems this mall is exclusively for player trading. But I'm not sure what currency is used for transactions. Hugh Wilder tried to turn to the next page, but the last 2 pages of the notebook seemed stuck together and wouldn't open, so he had to give up. Coup. His stomach rebelled. So Hugh Wilder had no choice but to place his notebook close to his body and slowly walk towards the door. There's no other way out. Either starve to death in this dilapidated shack, or push open the door and face the desolate world. Hugh Wilder gritted his teeth, reaching out to push open the main door. Lucas Garner walked over, extended his hand, and shook Hugh Wilder's hand. Hello, Mr. Wilder. I am Lucas Garner. Previously, Mr. Hugh Wilder and Mr. Ethan Stone contacted me, saying that you all wished to inquire about the mysterious case from 3 years ago and had some questions that needed my assistance. Hugh Wilder nodded. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Mr. Garner, for being willing to meet with us. Lucas Garner smiled faintly. It's no trouble at all. Mr. William Austin even personally called me, so I ought to do my part. Please come in and have a seat. As he spoke, he led Hugh Wilder and Evelyn Harper to the sofa opposite them and invited them to sit. Hugh Wilder sat down and immediately got to the point. Mr. Garner, do you still remember the details of the mysterious case 3 years ago? A look of reminiscence appeared on Lucas Garner's face for a moment. And then he sighed deeply. How could I not remember? This case left too deep an impression on me. I was the head prosecutor for this case at the time. Evelyn Harper quickly continued. Could you please recount the details of the case for us once more, Mr. Garner? Of course. Lucas Garner nodded, his gaze seemingly passing through the air. Returning to 3 years ago. The victim of the mysterious case 3 years ago was a lady named Lola King. At the time, her body was found in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. The most peculiar aspect was that after investigation, Ms. King had already passed away at home before being transported to the abandoned factory. According to the autopsy report, Ms. King's cause of death was acute myocardial infarction, which means she died of sudden heart failure. Hugh Wilder listened carefully, but his brow furrowed slightly. So, was this case ultimately determined to be a natural death? Lucas Garner shook his head. Not entirely. The strange part is that there were signs of strangulation on Ms. King's neck, a distinct red mark. However, this mark was not enough to cause her death. The final conclusion was that a third party deliberately created the illusion of homicide after Ms. King's sudden death, and then moved her body. Evelyn Harper noted. This means there's no definite murderer, only someone who moved the body. Lucas Garner nodded. Indeed, the most perplexing aspect of this case is that no matter how we investigated, we couldn't find anyone who had a motive to move Ms. King's body. Furthermore, after Ms. King's passing, her family and friends were all grief-stricken, and none of them seemed to have the time or motive to commit such an act. Therefore, this case has remained unsolved, becoming a mysterious and unresolved case. Hugh Wilder frowned. Are there any specific details from the scene that might uncover the truth? Lucas Garner thought for a moment and said, There's one detail that was very strange at the time. When Ms. King's body was found, there was a small, exquisitely carved wooden box beside her. Inside the box was a small, golden key. Evelyn Harper quickly asked, "Was this key the key to the abandoned factory?" Lucas Garner shook his head. "No, after investigation. This key did not open any locks at the scene, and it was confirmed that this small wooden box and the key did not belong to Ms. King. We also investigated the origin of this small wooden box and key, but found nothing." Hugh Wilder's expression grew serious. "This is indeed a peculiar detail. Did the police investigate the factory's owner or anyone who frequently visited the factory?" Lucas Garner replied. "We did. The abandoned factory originally belonged to a company that went bankrupt many years ago. The factory had been abandoned for a long time, and the owner was an old man named Ikiro Oda. Those who frequently visited, there were only some homeless people who occasionally sought shelter there, but after investigation, they were all excluded as suspects." Hugh Wilder thought for a moment and asked, "Are there any other individuals involved in this case worth noting?" Lucas Garner nodded. "There is one person. A security guard named Paul Hughes. He was the first to discover Ms. King's body. He was very cooperative with our investigation at the time, but he didn't provide any particularly useful clues. He claimed he was patrolling as usual when he stumbled upon the body." Evelyn Harper recorded all of Lucas Garner's words. After Lucas Garner finished speaking, Hugh Wilder thanked him. "Thank you for the detailed information, Mr. Garner. This is very helpful to us." Lucas Garner smiled. "You're welcome. It's my duty. If you have any other questions, you can contact me at any time." After leaving Lucas Garner's office, Evelyn Harper organized the information, which read: Victim, Lola King. Cause of death, acute myocardial infarction, sudden heart failure. Additional circumstances, signs of strangulation, red mark on neck. Not the cause of death. Additional items at scene. Exquisitely carved small wooden box, golden key, did not belong to victim. Did not open any locks at scene. Factory owner, Ikiro Oda deceased. First discoverer, Paul Hughes, security guard. Special note, crime scene was an abandoned factory on the outskirts. Body moved after death. Investigation revealed no motive for moving the body. Evelyn Harper looked at Hugh Wilder. "What do you think?" "Mr. Wilder, this case..." Hugh Wilder pondered for a moment and said, "The police investigation was very detailed, and the information provided by Lucas Garner is already quite comprehensive. However, some connections still seem missing. The key and the small wooden box are very suspicious." Evelyn Harper agreed. "Yes, if they didn't belong to Lola King, and they weren't used to open anything. Then what was their purpose? Was it left by the person who moved the body? What was their intention?" Hugh Wilder shook his head gently. "These are questions we need to investigate further. The person who moved the body definitely had a reason. Perhaps the key and the small wooden box are crucial clues." He continued, "First, we need to re-examine the crime scene, the abandoned factory, to see if there are any details the police overlooked. Additionally, we need to thoroughly investigate the family members and social connections of Lola King. Perhaps there's something there that the police didn't connect." Evelyn Harper recorded Hugh Wilder's instructions and then said, "All right. I'll arrange it immediately. We'll start with the abandoned factory and then contact Lola King's family." Hugh Wilder nodded. "Good. Although this case is 3 years old, I believe as long as there are clues, we can find the truth." Chapter 2. Besides gold coins, treasure chests can also contain traps. In the name list passed down by Lucas Garner, Hugh Wilder's name was indeed among the first batch of talents discovered. However, Lucas Garner focused on discovering talents and was not responsible for their training. After Hugh Wilder's talent was discovered, he was assigned to Paul Hughes's department. Paul Hughes's department was quite special. Its official name was the Special Projects Department, but it was commonly referred to as the Weapon Development Department. Indeed, The department's main responsibility was to directly develop various weapons to enhance the combat power of the Expeditionary Army. As the head of this department, Paul Hughes had a significant say in military matters. Paul Hughes himself was also a very talented individual, though specializing in the science of creating weapons. He also had a keen eye for discerning talent. He evaluated Hugh Wilder very highly and provided him with ample resources for research and experimentation, allowing him to grow rapidly. While working under Paul Hughes, Hugh Wilder met two other exceptional talents, Evelyn Harper and Ethan Stone. The three of them quickly formed a strong bond, combining their strengths to achieve remarkable breakthroughs in weapon development. It was during this period that Hugh Wilder began to make a name for himself. Later, the Expeditionary Army advanced into the Lost Lands, and the war became increasingly brutal, making weapon development even more critical. Paul Hughes, Evelyn Harper, Ethan Stone, and Hugh Wilder all established themselves in the field of weapon development, becoming top experts, especially Hugh Wilder, who, due to his astounding achievements, became a direct subordinate of the Expeditionary Army's commander, William Austin, and was conferred the title of military advisor. Hugh Wilder's rise caused quite a stir and even led to some discord within the Expeditionary Army. William Austin had always relied heavily on Akira Oda as his main military advisor. But now Hugh Wilder, almost overnight, took over the position. This naturally caused dissatisfaction among some, especially Akira Oda, who found it difficult to accept. Fortunately, Akira Oda was a man of integrity and understood the bigger picture. Although he felt some resentment, he did not let it interfere with his work. This also demonstrated William Austin's wisdom in choosing people. On one hand, he recognized Hugh Wilder's outstanding ability, and on the other hand, he understood that Akira Oda valued the greater good, ensuring that the friction between the two would not escalate. When the Expeditionary Army's strategic decision-making circle shifted, Hugh Wilder officially joined. Lola King and the others, who had joined earlier, naturally welcomed him warmly. After all, everyone was working for the same goal, and Hugh Wilder's abilities were publicly recognized. With him joining, the capabilities of the strategic decision-making circle were greatly enhanced, which was a good thing for everyone. Hugh Wilder's hand rested on the door, but he didn't push it open. Another prompt box appeared before his eyes. Pushing open the door, you might encounter a beast's territory, a resource area, barren land, or a treasure trove. You can eliminate one of these options. They can even rule this out. Interesting. Hugh Wilder paused, without a second thought. He immediately ruled out the beast's territory. I wonder what the person surrounded by rotrats was thinking, not to rule out the first option. With the other options eliminated, Hugh Wilder pushed open the wooden door. Before me lay a desolate wilderness, with nothing but a few stunted phoenix trees. Had I randomly been sent to a wilderness? It can't be this unlucky. Hugh Wilder took a step forward, and a prompt sounded in his ear again. 11 hours and 45 minutes remaining for this exploration. Exploration distance is 100 meters. Please choose one direction to explore from north, south, east, or west. You cannot deviate more than 2 meters to the left or right. Note, once a direction is chosen, it cannot be changed. You can only move forward or backward. East. As the saying goes, purple chi rises in the east. We, the children of the great celestial empire, naturally choose the east. After Hugh Wilder made his choice, the scene before him began to spin until it faced the direction of the rising sun. The sunlight shone on his face, and Hugh Wilder looked at the scene before him, instantly stunned. Treasure chest. A massive wooden treasure chest rose directly ahead. It seems that what I randomly drew wasn't a barren land, but a treasure trove. My streak of bad luck is officially over. Ding. Player Ethan Stone, was the first to open a wooden treasure chest. Initiating the wooden treasure chest leaderboard. Hugh Wilder cocked his head. Wooden treasure chest rankings, what the heck is that? He casually pulled out his notebook and found that a page previously stuck at the back had come loose. On it were written the 7 characters, Wooden treasure chest leaderboard. Hugh Wilder peered closer, finding a line of text written on it. Those who have not opened this type of treasure chest cannot view the leaderboard. What the heck? You told me the leaderboards were open. But then you didn't let me see. Isn't this like a man and woman stripping down? Ready to play cards in bed? Nonsense. Zick. Hugh Wilder grumbled and decided to open his own treasure chest first. As he was about to close his laptop, he found the chat interface had suddenly exploded. Wooden treasure chest, Ethan Stone. Is Mr. Stone there? Can you tell us what's inside the treasure chest? That's right, I also have a treasure chest in front of me. But the system indicates I need a key to open it. The key is near the treasure chest. Look carefully. The last message was suffixed with 2 words, Ethan Stone. The revered figure has personally responded. Hugh Wilder didn't rush to close his laptop. Instead, he continued to stare at the chat interface. There's still plenty of time anyway, and the exploration distance is only 100 meters. So I can still hold on a bit longer. Let's first see how others are opening treasure chests. Found it. The person who previously asked how to get the key sent another message. It seems Ethan Stone was right. Cutilda. His stomach rumbled again in protest. And Hugh Wilder frowned slightly, preparing to close his laptop and go open his own treasure chest. Just then, a pop-up window appeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Lucas Garner for being the first player in this game to die from a treasure chest trap. Hugh Wilder froze, his hand suspended over his laptop. Lucas Garner, he's the one who just sent a message in the chat. He lowered his head and looked at the chat interface, finding that the messages, which had been frantically flooding the screen, had suddenly stopped. Only a single message, found it, remained at the very bottom of the chat interface. Lucas Garner's avatar also turned gray. Is he dead? One message reemerged, followed by similar questions. Hugh Wilder couldn't help but type a message in the chat interface. Ethan Stone. What's in your treasure chest? He also seemed to be waiting in front of his laptop and quickly replied to Hugh Wilder. None of your business. The answer is simple, and it aligns with everyone's expectations. After all, this concerns his own life and safety. In the wilderness, there are no others of his kind. Coo. His stomach rebelled again. Hugh Wilder couldn't stand the feeling of hunger any longer. He snapped his laptop shut and began to walk forward. Never mind. Even if Sadako is in the treasure chest, I'm going to devour it. Verse step. Hugh Wilder formally stepped out of the thatched cottage, and a notification sounded in his ears. Resource discovered. Hey, do you want to collect it? What are you even gathering? The treasure chest is right ahead. I'm definitely going for the chest first. Hugh Wilder dragged his hungry body forward, and every 2 or 3 steps, he heard a system prompt asking if he wanted to collect a certain resource. However, besides hay, there was also wood and even combustible scented waste. That is to say, the legendary animal feces. Hugh Wilder ignored everything, walking straight to the treasure chest. Wooden treasure chest, common. This is not a safe, this is a treasure chest. It cannot be opened casually. A key is required. He stretched out his hand, not immediately reaching for the key, but attempting to open the treasure chest directly. Ding. Open the treasure chest may trigger. Treasure chest trap, basic supplies, survival kit, advanced treasure chest key. Building blueprints. You can exclude one of these options. Hint, when the treasure chest opens, 2 options will be randomly selected from it. This still needs choosing. Of course. Exclude the treasure chest trap. Wait. Hugh Wilder suddenly paused. He reread all the options and discovered a startling point. Among these options, apart from the treasure chest trap, everything else is beneficial with no drawbacks. This means there's no danger as long as the treasure chest trap is avoided. But Lucas Garner is dead. He didn't rule out the possibility of a treasure chest trap, unless his IQ is below 70. He wouldn't fail to consider this option. Then there's only one answer. Am I the only one who can rule out these options? Hugh Wilder felt his breathing quicken. If that's the case, then I'd really hit the jackpot. However, I absolutely cannot tell anyone else about this, or I will surely find myself in danger. Disarm the treasure chest trap. To hide this secret, Hugh Wilder remained silent, merely uttering a mental prayer. Ding. Do you want to open the treasure chest? This action will consume one wooden key. Success. Silently reciting to oneself can also eliminate options, which minimizes the chance of exposure. No. Hugh Wilder doesn't have the key now, so it seems he'll have to search around. He looked around and found nothing but half-inch-long weeds apart from the treasure chest. There was only one place to hide the key. Under the treasure chest. Hugh Wilder reached out and lifted the treasure chest, discovering a key truly pressed beneath it. Like the treasure chest, this key is also made of wood. Wooden key, warrior. Go and open the corresponding treasure chest, guaranteed not to be empty. Hugh Wilder's lips twitched. He was almost used to this style of complaint. He placed his hand back on the treasure chest, looked at the prompt, and selected yes. He opened his eyes and looked at the familiar ceiling. It was still the same, neither beautiful nor ugly. It was just a plain ceiling. Hugh Wilder got up and slowly washed himself. After doing so, he paused at the sink, staring blankly at the Hugh Wilder in the mirror. He then lowered his head and started brushing his teeth. There was nothing special about the day. It was still 7:00 a.m. This was already the day Hugh Wilder had been repeating for who knows how long. A loop, a never-ending loop. Hugh Wilder was an ordinary person. An ordinary man, just an ordinary man. He slept in a rented room, woke up at 7:00 a.m., washed up, went to work at a regular time, worked until a regular time, ate lunch at a regular time, ate dinner at a regular time, went home at a regular time, and slept at a regular time. He was like a machine, precisely following a set program, repeating the same actions every day. There was no difference, no deviation, no change. This was a normal day, a normal life, a normal loop. Until that one moment, a moment that was completely different from any of his past experiences. It shattered Hugh Wilder's perception of normal. It was a normal 7:00 a.m. He was washing his face, just as he always did. Then, the reflection in the mirror changed. A stranger appeared in the mirror. It was a man with a beard and a somewhat wild look. He stared at Hugh Wilder with a strange expression, making Hugh Wilder feel as though the man was staring at his very soul. Hugh Wilder, a new world awaits you. The man's voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't spoken in a long time. Suddenly, the stranger in the mirror shattered like glass, and the image of Hugh Wilder reappeared. Hugh Wilder was stunned. He knew he was hallucinating again, just like yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. But this hallucination was so real, so vivid, so different from any he had experienced before. He finished washing up, went downstairs, and saw Evelyn Harper. She seemed a bit flustered. Hugh Wilder. I saw a person just now. He was very strange. Evelyn Harper's voice was filled with fear. Hugh Wilder looked at her. He didn't know what to say. Should he tell her she was hallucinating? No, it wouldn't be right. It's okay. Hugh Wilder said. He left the house and met Lucas Garner downstairs. Hey, Hugh Wilder, guess what I saw just now? It was a man, a very strange man. Hugh Wilder looked at Lucas Garner. He then left. He got on the subway, and Paul Hughes came over. Hugh Wilder, I saw someone just now, a very strange person. Hugh Wilder looked at Paul Hughes. He then left. He arrived at the company. Ethan Stone came over. Hugh Wilder, I saw someone just now. A very strange person. Hugh Wilder looked at Ethan Stone. He then entered. During lunch, William Austin came over. Hugh Wilder, I saw someone just now. A very strange person. Hugh Wilder looked at William Austin. He continued to eat. In the afternoon, Akira Oda came over. Hugh Wilder, I saw someone just now. A very strange person. Hugh Wilder looked at Akira Oda. He then returned. He went home. Lola King came over. Hugh Wilder, I saw someone just now. A very strange person. Hugh Wilder looked at Lola King. He then returned home. That night, Hugh Wilder didn't sleep well. He couldn't stop thinking about what had happened during the day. He couldn't stop thinking about that strange man. He couldn't stop thinking about that voice. Hugh Wilder. A new world awaits you. What kind of world was this? Chapter 3, The Beast Attack. Hugh Wilder seemed to be in a good mood today. He finished his lunch and even ate another bowl of rice. He was so full that he could barely move. So he leaned back leisurely on the sofa, closed his eyes, and rested. However, he still needed to read some documents in the afternoon. Hugh Wilder opened his eyes and looked at the pile of documents on the coffee table. He felt a headache coming on, so he gently called out, "Evelyn Harper." From the kitchen came Evelyn Harper's voice. "I heard you, Hugh Wilder. Don't shout, I'm coming, what's wrong? Are you uncomfortable? Let me see." Evelyn Harper quickly walked into the living room, knelt down next to Hugh Wilder, and carefully examined him. Hugh Wilder opened his eyes slightly and looked at Evelyn Harper without moving. His voice was lazy. "No. I'm fine. I just want to ask if you're free in the afternoon." Evelyn Harper blinked. "I'm always free in the afternoon these days. What's wrong?" "Help me read these documents and summarize them into a simple report for me to review tomorrow," Hugh Wilder said, gesturing towards the pile of documents on the coffee table. Evelyn Harper turned to look at them, then turned back to Hugh Wilder. "All right, I'll do it. No problem." In the past, these tasks were handled by Hugh Wilder's assistant, Lucas Garner. However, Lucas Garner was currently away on a business trip, assisting Paul Hughes in dealing with some issues, so he wasn't around. In fact, Hugh Wilder had many other capable subordinates. For example, Ethan Stone, his personal bodyguard, and William Austin, his secretary. Even Akira Oda, who was good at statistics, could do it. However, Hugh Wilder didn't want any of them to do it. He wanted Evelyn Harper. Maybe it was because he was starting to get tired of being alone. Evelyn Harper had already taken the documents to the dining table and was seriously flipping through them. Hugh Wilder still leaned on the sofa, deep in thought. Lola King, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, called him and asked him out for dinner. Hugh Wilder thought about it and felt that there was no reason to refuse. So he agreed. He didn't know what kind of dinner it would be. Was it a double date or something else? Hugh Wilder was a bit bewildered. Lately, it seemed that Evelyn Harper and Lola King had become very good friends. However, Hugh Wilder still had a question. Why did Evelyn Harper, after becoming friends with Lola King, have not even the slightest intention of leaving him alone? Didn't she want to run away? Was she captured by him? No. Hugh Wilder felt that he was not that powerful, and Evelyn Harper was not that weak. So, what was the reason? The treasure chest opened. A bronze light stung Hugh Wilder's eyes. He looked at the contents and fell into contemplation. "Congratulations, host. You have received an iron key. Fine. Iron key, fine. When opening a treasure chest, please use force. A rusty key is like some people's brains, not very easy to use. Congratulations, host. You have received 20 ropes. An iron key, stained with mottled rust. Looking down, a coil of rope lay beneath the keys. Hugh Wilder, having just shed his bad luck for good fortune, felt as though he had been banished back to the land of misfortune. But he didn't know what ropes meant among common resources. Without a crafting table, every rope feels incredibly precious. In some situations, people would even trade a bucket of extra instant noodles for one. As for the iron key, wait. If there's a treasure chest, there must be a key. So if there's a key, might there also be a treasure chest? Hugh Wilder's eyes immediately lit up. He looked up, gazing at the wilderness ahead. Aside from a prominent sycamore tree, there was only a patch of overgrown weeds ahead. If there really is a treasure chest, it should be near the sycamore tree. Hugh Wilder was filled with new hope. He scooped up the key, casually tucked it into his bag, and slung the rope over his shoulder. He took out his notebook again and opened it to the last page, the wooden treasure chest leaderboard. He wanted to know what Ethan Stone had actually found. How dare he even say, "It's none of your business." The leaderboard opened, displaying only 3 names. Hugh Wilder. 2. Ethan Stone. 3. Lucas Garner. Hugh Wilder's own name was listed first. He tried to click on Ethan Stone's name, but found there was no response. Could it be that we can only sort by item quality, without being able to see the specific items themselves? Boring, Hugh Wilder complained, then closed his laptop. He still needs to solve the problems of food and water. He should research these things later. Having walked all the way from the thatched hut, covering a distance of 67 meters, I found nothing edible apart from dry grass. Hugh Wilder naturally chose to continue moving forward, without looking back. There's still a Chinese letter. He pushed himself up and continued exploring forward. When Hugh Wilder dragged himself to the sycamore tree, a sudden pop-up notification made his eyes light up. Ding! There seems to be something under the plane tree. Dig it up. This excavation may trigger discovering a treasure chest, or finding nothing. You can rule out one of these options. One word. Amazing. Even if Jesus came today, I'd still insist on being European. Hugh Wilder felt his tear ducts were touched by his own luck, and they were faintly warm. Life, sure enough, is a series of ups and downs and ups and ups and ups. Empty. Hugh Wilder whispered a thought to himself, then threw himself in front of the phoenix tree and began to frantically dig. Even as the soil chafed his fingertips red, he did not pause for a moment. With his last ounce of strength, he finally dug out the object buried in the pit. A treasure chest, an iron treasure chest. It seems that where there's a treasure chest, there's a key, and where there's a key, there's definitely a treasure chest. Hugh Wilder looked at the treasure chest in the pit and collapsed onto the ground. Ding. Iron treasure chest, excellent. Don't throw away used treasure chests. Put them in the forge, and you will get brand new iron ingots. Of course, provided you can take it away. Hugh Wilder paused, then turned his head to look at the wooden treasure chest not far away. Damn. So if this thing is split open, can it also be turned into timber? Crazy. Thankfully it's not far, I'll just carry it back later. Hugh Wilder took the key from his pocket, ready to open the iron treasure chest. Ding. Do you wish to open the iron treasure chest? This action will consume 1 iron key. Open treasure chest may trigger. Find supplies, find survival kit, building blueprints. Advanced treasure chest key. You can exclude 1 option. No treasure chest traps. Hugh Wilder paused. It seems that there is no certainty about what can be opened from each treasure chest. After some deliberation, Hugh Wilder chose to exclude the advanced treasure chest key. For no other reason. He just didn't want to go find the treasure chest again. I also didn't dare to gamble on the logical inevitability of the key and the treasure chest being connected. The remaining supplies, whether they are materials or survival kits, should all contain food. Let's fill our stomachs first, after eliminating other options, and gave it a violent turn. Cut. A soft click sounded, and the treasure chest slowly opened, reflecting a faint blue luminescence. Ding. Congratulations, host, for opening an iron treasure chest. You have received a survival pack, excellent, and building plans, small wooden hut. Survival kit, excellent, includes a backpack, compass, fire axe, dagger, rubber gloves, water bottle, individual rations, and a box of condoms. Don't get the wrong idea. In wilderness survival, condoms have many uses. For details, please refer to various wilderness survival programs. Of course, if you have another use for it, I won't ask any more questions. Architectural blueprint, log cabin, HMPH. It's only slightly better than a thatched hut. What's there to brag about? Congratulations, host, for being the first player to open an iron treasure chest. Announced to the entire server. Hugh Wilder stared at the last prompt, suddenly hesitating. Originally, he didn't want to stand out, but seeing so many strange remarks, he couldn't help but try to ask a question. If we issue an announcement, what kind of reward would there be? The system hesitated for a moment, and then, surprisingly, issued a prompt in a tentative tone. Can I fill your kettle with water for you? Deal. Hugh Wilder hurriedly agreed, watching as another new prompt box appeared before him. Congratulations to player Hugh Wilder for being the first player to open an iron treasure chest. Iron treasure chest leaderboard activated. Hugh Wilder put down the chopsticks in his hand and sighed deeply. He felt a bit dizzy and lightheaded. Too little sleep, too much work, and not eating on time were gradually taking a toll on his body. But he had no choice. The company's situation was dire, and as a key manager, he had to take responsibility. He picked up his phone and scrolled through his contacts, hesitating for a long time at Evelyn Harper's name before finally calling her. The call connected after a few rings. Evelyn, are you busy? Hugh Wilder tried to make his voice sound cheerful, but his fatigue was clearly discernible. What's wrong? You sound tired. Evelyn Harper's voice was filled with concern. What's the matter? You rarely call me. It's nothing. Just wanted to ask if Lucas Garner is still working with you. Hugh Wilder got straight to the point. Lucas, yes. He's planning to take a break after finishing his current project, but he's still with us. Why do you ask? Evelyn Harper asked, surprised. Can you ask him to meet me? It's about a project. Hugh Wilder's voice was a bit hoarse. If he's available, the sooner the better. All right. I'll ask him for you. Where do you want to meet? Evelyn Harper asked. Anywhere is fine as long as he's free. Hugh Wilder paused, then added, if you're free, you can come too. Okay. I'll ask. I'll let you know once I have an answer. After hanging up, Hugh Wilder felt a dull ache in his stomach. He hadn't eaten properly for several days, and it seemed his old stomach problems were flaring up again. At noon the next day, Lucas Garner and Evelyn Harper arrived at the agreed-upon cafe. Hugh Wilder was already there, looking a bit haggard. Hugh, what's wrong? You look awful, Evelyn Harper asked with concern. Hugh Wilder forced a smile. It's nothing, just a bit tired. Did I disturb Lucas's rest? Lucas Garner waved his hand. No. I was just about to look for a new project. Is there a big deal for me? Hugh Wilder shook his head. It's not a big deal, but it's very important to me. Oh, Lucas Garner raised an eyebrow. What is it? Hugh Wilder looked at them, then slowly began to speak. Do you remember the Dreamweaver project we planned together? Lucas Garner and Evelyn Harper exchanged glances. The Dreamweaver project, wasn't that shelved back then because of funding issues? Lucas Garner recalled. Yes, but now I want to restart it. Hugh Wilder's eyes shone with a faint light. I've found an investor. If the project can be restarted successfully, the company will have a chance to turn its fortunes around. Restart Dreamweaver. Lucas Garner frowned. Dreamweaver was a bold and innovative project at the time, but it required significant capital investment and technical support. Back then, they had to give up on it due to various constraints. Hugh, are you serious? The current market environment is completely different from before, and the risks are even greater. I know, Hugh Wilder said, but this is our only chance. The investor is Paul Hughes from Horizon Capital. He is very interested in the Dreamweaver project. Horizon Capital, Paul Hughes. Evelyn Harper was surprised. Horizon Capital was a well-known investment company, and Paul Hughes was a highly respected partner. If they were willing to invest, the chances of success for Dreamweaver would be much higher. That's right, Hugh Wilder nodded. Paul Hughes wants to see a complete project plan as soon as possible, so I want to ask Lucas to help lead the team again. Lucas Garner hesitated. Hugh, you know that the Dreamweaver project is an enormous undertaking. With my current team, it might be difficult to handle. I know, Hugh Wilder seemed to anticipate his concerns. So I want to invite some old friends back to help. Ethan Stone, William Austin, Akira Oda. Upon hearing these names, Lucas Garner and Evelyn Harper were both stunned. These were all top talents in the industry, and they had excellent working relationships with Hugh Wilder in the past. If they could all return, the Dreamweaver project would indeed have a very good chance of success. Have you contacted them yet? Lucas Garner asked. Not yet, Hugh Wilder shook his head. I want to get your opinion first, if you're willing to take this on. I'll go and try to convince them. Lucas Garner fell silent, deep in thought. The Dreamweaver project was his long-cherished dream, and he had always regretted not being able to complete it back then. Now that there was a chance to restart it, he was naturally tempted. But the risks were also evident. Evelyn Harper quietly observed Hugh Wilder. She saw not only his fatigue, but also the determination and hope in his eyes. She knew how important this project was to him. All right, Hugh. I'll take on this project with you. After a long silence, Lucas Garner finally spoke. But I have one condition. You must ensure that we have sufficient resources and support. Hugh Wilder's eyes widened, and he nodded excitedly. Don't worry, I will definitely provide the best resources and support. That's great, Evelyn Harper exclaimed excitedly. I'll help too, although I can't provide direct technical support. I can assist with project management and coordination. Thank you both. Hugh Wilder felt a warmth in his heart, with the support of his old friends. He was much more confident. The three of them spent the entire afternoon at the cafe, discussing the preliminary plan for the Dreamweaver project. Although there were still many specific details to be ironed out, a clear direction had already emerged. After Lucas Garner and Evelyn Harper left, Hugh Wilder sat alone in the cafe for a long time. The fatigue was still there, but his heart was filled with hope. He knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but as long as everyone worked together, there would be hope. The next few days were incredibly busy for Hugh Wilder. He first contacted Ethan Stone, William Austin, and Akira Oda, discussing the Dreamweaver project with them. As expected, they were all very interested in the project. After hearing that Lucas Garner had agreed to lead the team, they readily agreed to join. The return of these talents brought immense vitality to the Dreamweaver project. They immediately plunged into intense work, formulating detailed plans and resolving various technical challenges. The entire team was filled with passion and motivation. Meanwhile, Hugh Wilder also reported the preliminary progress of the Dreamweaver project to Paul Hughes. Paul Hughes was very satisfied with the progress and agreed to provide the first round of funding, which greatly eased the financial pressure on the team. The Dreamweaver project progressed smoothly, but Hugh Wilder knew that the biggest challenge was yet to come. Once the project officially launched, they would face fierce competition, as well as various unpredictable difficulties and risks. 6 months later, the Dreamweaver project officially launched. Its innovative design and excellent user experience immediately attracted widespread attention, quickly gaining a large number of users. The company's performance began to rebound, and the stock price soared, making everyone breathe a sigh of relief. However, just as everyone was celebrating the success of Dreamweaver, a crisis quietly emerged. A competitor launched a product similar to Dreamweaver, and they even started a smear campaign against them on social media, accusing Dreamweaver of plagiarism and malicious competition. This sudden attack caught Dreamweaver off guard, faced with online accusations and the competitor's offensive. The company's reputation and user base were severely impacted. Hugh Wilder immediately organized an emergency meeting with Lucas Garner, Evelyn Harper, and other core members to discuss countermeasures. "This is a premeditated attack," said Ethan Stone. "They clearly want to crush us before we even get off the ground. We must clarify the facts and prove our innocence," said William Austin. "But simply clarifying might not be enough," said Akira Oda. "Their smear campaign is very effective, and many users are already starting to doubt us." Hugh Wilder listened to everyone's opinions and finally said, "We must not only clarify but also take proactive measures." Lucas: "How long would it take to complete the next version?" Lucas Garner pondered for a moment. "If we go all out, we might be able to speed it up, but it will require a massive effort from the entire team." "All right." Hugh Wilder made a decisive decision. "Then let's go all out. Evelyn, you are responsible for monitoring public opinion and responding to information in real time. Ethan, William, Akira, you will cooperate with Lucas to complete the next version as quickly as possible. We must prove to the market and users with our product that we are the leaders, not imitators." The entire team immediately went into emergency mode. They worked day and night, almost without rest, to accelerate the development of the next version. Meanwhile, under Evelyn Harper's leadership, the public relations team also launched a powerful counterattack, exposing the competitors' malicious behavior and showcasing Dreamweaver's original innovative points. After more than a month of intense effort, the Dreamweaver team finally completed the next version. This version not only optimized the existing features, but also introduced several groundbreaking innovations, bringing users an even better experience. The launch of the new version instantly silenced all doubts. Users were deeply impressed by Dreamweaver's continuous innovation and excellent quality. The competitors' malicious smear campaign ultimately backfired, causing them to lose reputation and market share. The Dreamweaver project not only pulled the company back from the brink of collapse, but also led it to new heights. Hugh Wilder, Lucas Garner, Evelyn Harper, and the entire team became legends in the industry. Many years later, Hugh Wilder retired and handed over the company to a new generation of management. He still often reminisced about the challenges and triumphs he experienced with his old friends. The Dreamweaver project was not just a successful product, it was also a testament to their friendship, courage, and pursuit of dreams. One day, Lola King, a young reporter, interviewed Hugh Wilder. "Mr. Wilder, what was the most difficult decision you ever made in your career?" Hugh Wilder smiled and looked out the window at the bustling city. "The most difficult decision was to restart the Dreamweaver project that year. The risks were huge, and the pressure was immense, but I knew that if I didn't take that step, I would regret it for the rest of my life." "What motivated you to persevere?" Lola King continued to ask. Hugh Wilder silently looked at the photo on his desk. In the photo, he stood shoulder to shoulder with Lucas Garner, Evelyn Harper, Ethan Stone, William Austin, and Akira Oda, all smiling brightly. "My friends," he said softly, "it was their trust, support, and unwavering dedication that allowed me to persevere." "What message do you want to convey to young entrepreneurs?" Lola King asked. Hugh Wilder thought for a moment, then said, "Don't be afraid of challenges, and don't give up on your dreams. Most importantly, find a group of like-minded partners. They will be your greatest asset. Somewhere in the wilderness, a man wearing the same windbreak said, "Don't be afraid of challenges. And don't give up on your dreams. Most importantly, find a group of like-minded partners. They will be your greatest asset." Somewhere in the wilderness, a man wearing the same windbreaker as Hugh Wilder froze, his right hand, holding an old Soviet-era sawdust bread, suddenly dropped. He stared at the prompt box before him, his eyes filled with utter disbelief. 5 seconds ago, he opened the wooden treasure chest leaderboard and just saw this person's name. 5 seconds later, a system announcement told him that this man had opened an iron treasure chest. He is Ethan Stone. Ethan Stone suddenly felt the bread in his hand had lost its appeal. What is this? Is this the Emperor of Europe himself? No, there must be some mechanism I haven't discovered yet. He suddenly stood up, surveying his surroundings. Around here, there must be an iron treasure chest. "All right," Hugh Wilder said. "Let Evelyn Harper's team from the planning department take the lead on this project. Lucas Garner will assist them. Remember, success or failure hinges on this, so no mistakes are allowed." Paul Hughes from the marketing department raised a question. "Mr. Wilder, with the preliminary promotions ongoing, the market response has been lukewarm. Should we consider increasing our investment in advertising?" "No need for that," Hugh Wilder replied, shaking his head. "The current situation is within my expectations. Our new product this time is aimed at high-end users, and it won't gain widespread attention like consumer electronics. We need to focus on precision marketing." Has Ethan Stone from the PR department created a list of industry leaders and potential clients? Yes. It's ready. The PR department and the marketing department are already coordinating, preparing to arrange visits to these target clients in the near future, Paul Hughes replied. Very good, remember. The product itself is the best advertisement. As long as it can genuinely solve our clients' problems, word of mouth will naturally spread, Hugh Wilder said, a faint smile on his lips. Also, what about the collaboration with William Austin's company? Are there any new developments? Evelyn Harper quickly responded. The negotiations are progressing smoothly. William Austin has expressed strong interest in our new product, but he hopes we can provide more tailored solutions for their company. We've already sent a technical team to conduct on-site research at their company and are currently developing a customized plan. Excellent. We must seize this opportunity, Hugh Wilder said, nodding. If we can secure a deal with William Austin, it will be a significant boost for our new product's market expansion. What about the overseas market? Akihiro Oda. How are things looking there? Akihiro Oda, head of the International Business Department, adjusted his glasses and said, the overseas market still poses significant challenges. While some major clients have shown interest, they remain hesitant due to the high price of our product. We are considering offering some preferential policies or bundled services to attract them. Hugh Wilder pondered for a moment, then said, price is indeed an obstacle, but it also reflects the value of our product. We need to clearly communicate to our overseas clients that our product is not just a high-tech tool, but a long-term investment that can bring them substantial returns. Lola King, what's new with the after-sales service department? Lola King, head of the after-sales service department, quickly replied. Our team is fully prepared. We have trained a group of professional technical support personnel and established a 24-hour response mechanism. We are confident we can provide timely and efficient after-sales service to our clients. All right, the quality of after-sales service directly impacts client satisfaction and loyalty. Hugh Wilder affirmed, this is crucial for the long-term development of our product. Everyone, we are united in this. I hope we can create a miracle together. Hugh Wilder didn't know about Ethan Stone's situation. He had already retrieved the survival kit from the iron chest, taken out the 2L water bottle, taken 2 swigs, and then screwed the cap back on. Great. This feeling is more refreshing than drinking cola. Hugh Wilder smiled contentedly, sat on the ground, took a whole bag of MREs out of his backpack, and laid his notebook open in front of him. Opened, it was exactly the chat interface page. It's all about making a living, so it has to be something that goes well with a meal to truly be enjoyable. Just as he was preparing to receive everyone's adoration, he discovered that there were only a few discussing the iron treasure chest in the chat interface. More people were actually talking about something else. Beast attack. Someone's thatched hut was attacked by wild beasts. There's more than one. Hugh Wilder turned his head and saw that his thatched hut in the distance was trembling slightly. The next morning, Hugh Wilder arrived at the training ground before dawn. Morning, Hugh Wilder. Morning, Lucas Garner. Morning, Paul Hughes. Good morning, William Austin. Morning, Akiro Oda. As Hugh Wilder greeted the familiar faces, he also noticed a few new ones. He recognized Ethan Stone, but the other 3 were strangers. These are the new tactical instructors and team leaders. This is Mr. Ethan Stone. This is Mr. Lucas Garner. This is Mr. Paul Hughes, and this is Mr. William Austin. Everyone, this is our head of security, Mr. Hugh Wilder. As Hugh Wilder chatted with the other guests, he saw Evelyn Harper arrive, radiating a vibrant energy. You're all here so early. Hugh Wilder laughed. Are you only just getting up? Evelyn Harper pointed to Lola King, who was yawning, and said, She just called me. Lola King quickly retorted, I called you because you're lazy. Everyone burst into laughter. Chapter 4. Are pandas bears too? At 9:00 a.m. on Monday, May 15th, Hugh Wilder convened an internal meeting for all employees of the Translation and Localization Department. Present were Department Head Hugh Wilder, Project Managers Evelyn Harper, Lucas Garner, Paul Hughes, and Ethan Stone, along with translators William Austin and Akiro Oda. The meeting commenced with Hugh Wilder delivering a speech. He first acknowledged the hard work and dedication of every employee in the department. He then discussed the company's development over the past year, highlighting the department's achievements and contributions, particularly emphasizing the breakthroughs in machine translation technology. He specifically praised Evelyn Harper's excellent performance as a project manager, Lucas Garner's outstanding work in project coordination, Paul Hughes's innovative approaches to quality control, and Ethan Stone's swift and accurate problem-solving skills. He also commended William Austin and Akiro Oda's accurate and efficient translation work. Next, Hugh Wilder outlined the department's future development plans. He stressed the importance of improving translation quality and efficiency, expanding service scope, and enhancing technological innovation. He encouraged everyone to actively participate in training and learning, continuously improve their professional skills, and adapt to the department's changing needs. He also announced a new project for the department, a large-scale localization project for Legend of Dragon Slayer, a popular game developed by the American company Thunder Entertainment. The project manager will be Lola King, who will coordinate the entire localization process. Finally, Hugh Wilder held an open discussion session. He listened to everyone's opinions and suggestions, and answered their questions. The meeting concluded successfully at 11:30 a.m. Hugh Wilder suddenly stood up, looking at the trembling thatched hut, and began to calculate in his mind. From the phoenix tree to the thatched cottage, the distance was approximately 70 to 80 meters. This distance was enough for him to finish the compressed biscuits in his individual combat rations while on the move. Although eating while walking can be a bit hard on digestion, this is already the best method. After making his decision, Hugh Wilder took out the compressed biscuits from his military rations, took a big bite, and began to chew. The fire axe was on one side of the backpack. and the water bottle on the other. He put the water bottle away, then drew out the fire axe and held it in his hand. Just as Hugh Wilder was feeling full of ambition, he suddenly felt that something in his hand was not quite right. This fire axe, why is it all rusty? Is this high quality? Is there something wrong with your rating system? As Hugh Wilder complained, the system's notification popped up. Ding. Fire axe fine, don't underestimate the rust on it. After a hit, you'll need a tetanus shot. No matter, just make do with it. Hugh Wilder took another bite of the compressed biscuit, put on his backpack, held a fire axe in one hand, and carried a metal treasure chest in the other and walked forward. Upon reaching the wooden treasure chest from before, he set down the iron chest. Anyway, the resources won't disappear. Carrying 2 treasure chests right now is too much of a burden. It's better to deal with the beast attack first, then come back to pick them up. Ding. The system alert tone suddenly blared, and a notification box automatically popped up. Congratulations to player Paul Hughes for being the first player to die from a wild bear's paw. Wild bear. Hugh Wilder received news of the beast attack from the system prompt. He took out his notebook from his jacket pocket and confirmed something by looking at the chat history on it. Help, that bear is about to knock down my wall. Should I run away? Don't run, never run. I just came out of the house. And that bear has been chasing me. I climbed a tree. And it's waiting for me below. I don't think I can go back. Kill it, the bear must be killed. Easier said than done. That's a beast weighing 200 or 300 jinn. How are we going to kill it? Don't your wooden boxes contain rusty daggers? Kill the bear. And you can eat bear meat. Seeing the words bear meat, Hugh Wilder's eyes immediately lit up. As citizens of a great nation, everyone knows bear paw is an exquisite ingredient. However, for various reasons, this ingredient is rarely seen on dinner tables anymore. Now we are in the wilderness. What's the big deal about getting a bear's paw, even if someone got a panda's paw? Nobody could punish them. Hugh Wilder's fighting spirit was instantly ignited. He stuffed 2 or 3 bites of compressed biscuit into his mouth, took a big gulp of water, and continued towards the thatched hut. Soon, he could see the front door of the thatched cottage. The thatched hut still trembled, but from the front, no living thing could be seen. It should be on the back. Hugh Wilder quietly approached the thatched hut. He reached the entrance but still saw no bear. So he placed his backpack by the doorway, held the axe with both hands, and began walking towards the back of the thatched hut. Light. Be gentle. When he sees the bear, before it notices him, he'll sink an axe into its neck, and that will resolve the crisis. Hugh Wilder kept hypnotizing himself. But when he arrived at the back of the house, he was stunned by the sight before him. A cute creature, less than half a meter tall, with short, stout limbs, a black and white coat, and smoky eye makeup, sat by the mud wall. Its mouth was wide open, a whimpering sound emanating from its throat, and its hands beat against the wall with an inexplicable rhythm, as if it was acting spoiled. What the hell is this? A panda? Hugh Wilder was stunned, his previous hunting plan completely forgotten. Please, who would attack a panda that's only half a meter tall? As if sensing Hugh Wilder's presence, the panda closed its mouth, stopped patting the earthen wall, and turned its head to look at him. My gaze moved from his face, from top to bottom, down to his hands. Hugh Wilder watched its movements and quickly hid the fire axe behind his back. He certainly didn't want the other party to sense hostility. After all, if a real fight broke out, Hugh Wilder might not necessarily gain the upper hand. Wow! The panda suddenly let out a yelp, stood up, and ran towards him. Hugh Wilder instinctively tried to dodge backward, but before he could retreat, the panda landed with a splat, fell to the ground. Short legs shouldn't try racing. It's easy to trip. After the panda fell, it seemed incredibly wronged, continuously slapping its paws together and crying nonstop with wails. Help or not to help? This is a philosophical question. At least Hugh Wilder believed that, given the red panda's intelligence. It wouldn't be clever enough to lure him. Philosophical question. At least Hugh Wilder believed that, given the red panda's intelligence. It wouldn't be clever enough to lure him in and then launch an attack. After all, this little creature's appearance is just too adorably clumsy. Hugh Wilder gritted his teeth and supported him. He tucked the fire axe behind him and began to slowly approach the red panda. If it showed any aggression, he would take out the axe and smash its head. 1 step, 2 steps. Hugh Wilder walked directly up to the red panda. The creature was still wailing, seemingly unfazed by his approach. But Hugh Wilder was different. This was his first close-up look at such a creature, and if there was one word to describe its appearance, it would be adorable. Hugh Wilder couldn't help but reach out and smooth the soft fur on its head. The moment his palm touched the panda's head, the panda stopped crying and looked up at him. Hugh Wilder didn't stop. He stroked it from head to back, a smile playing on his lips. Good boy, a little rub and the pain will be gone. As if it understood his words. The panda lay on the ground, letting him stroke its fur. Ding. Congratulations, host, for taming a pet panda unnamed. Congratulations to player Hugh Wilder for being the first to tame a pet. Do you wish to announce this? Congratulations to player Hugh Wilder for being the first player to survive the beast tide. Do you wish to announce this? Hugh Wilder stared at the 3 prompts, his mind buzzing. What is this supposed to be? So, I just patted it and got a pet, and even survived a beast attack. I might as well become a Pokemon trainer then. Ahem. Just kidding. Hugh Wilder neither agreed nor refused. Since the last time the system asked him if he wanted to make it public, he has proven one thing. This system allows for communication. Since communication is possible, it means transactions are possible. Hugh Wilder, stroking the red panda, sat directly on the ground. It's fine to announce it, but what benefit can you give me? The system did not respond, as if it didn't understand what Hugh Wilder was saying. Stop playing dead. Hugh Wilder smiled faintly. While I don't know what good announcing this news will do for you, I do know that its value is definitely more than just a pot of water. What do you want? Agreed. The system really agreed. Hugh Wilder thought for a moment, then stated his conditions. The person from the intelligence department responsible for providing remote assistance, Hugh Wilder, received a document from Evelyn Harper via internal email. It was a scanned copy of a file. The contents of the file made Hugh Wilder's face darken slightly. He then called Evelyn Harper. Director Evelyn Harper. This is Hugh Wilder. The document you sent me, is it reliable? Hugh Wilder's tone carried a hint of surprise and uncertainty. The intelligence was provided by Lucas Garner. We carried out preliminary verification, and it is largely consistent with our findings. Are there any issues? Evelyn Harper's voice came from the other end of the line. No, there are no issues, but this situation is a bit complicated. Can I forward this document to the general manager? Yes, you can. You should also send it to Director Paul Hughes, Ethan Stone, William Austin, and Akira Oda. With the highest priority. Evelyn Harper paused for a moment and added, also send it to Lola King. Understood. Hugh Wilder immediately forwarded the document to the people Evelyn Harper mentioned. Then, the conference room of the general manager was filled with important figures. General Manager Paul Hughes, Director of Operations Ethan Stone, Director of Logistics William Austin, Director of External Relations Akira Oda, Director of Intelligence Evelyn Harper, and Director of Remote Assistance Hugh Wilder, along with Lola King, the head of the Special Operations Division. We're all present. Chapter 5, None of Your Business. When Hugh Wilder first discovered his superpowers, He thought he was incredibly lucky. What a wonderful thing it would be to roam the world, helping those in need, and protecting the innocent as a superhero. However, reality proved otherwise. Hugh Wilder, what are you doing here? Evelyn Harper, with her hands on her hips, glared at Hugh Wilder, who was sitting on the ground beside a large hole. Look at the mess you've made. Now I have to go through the trouble of doing a geological survey and then fill it back up. You know. That's taxpayer money. But there was a bank robbery, Hugh Wilder retorted, standing up, and I caught the robber. The robber was already caught by Lucas Garner. You just added a hole to the ground. Evelyn Harper countered. And a big one at that. It's at least 3 meters deep and 5 meters wide. I really don't understand how you managed to create such a large hole just by subduing a robber. Did you send them flying here from across town? Are you trying to destroy the city? In a city? Or rather, on a planet full of superheroes and supervillains, superpowers were no longer a rare commodity. Hugh Wilder, don't tell me you forgot to turn in your homework again. Paul Hughes, Hugh Wilder's teacher, spoke sternly to him in the office. This is already the 3rd time this week. If you keep this up, you won't be able to graduate. I spent all night chasing a serial killer who robbed 3 banks, assassinated 5 important politicians, and bombed a residential building. Hugh Wilder explained defensively. I only got 2 hours of sleep. So you're saying it's the serial killer's fault that you couldn't turn in your homework on time? Paul Hughes asked, raising an eyebrow. Also, the serial killer you mentioned was caught by Ethan Stone yesterday. You're watching too many superhero movies. You should focus on your studies. Hugh Wilder, were you fighting with William Austin again? Lola King, Hugh Wilder's childhood friend and neighbor, asked as she cleaned his wounds. I keep telling you, you can't beat him. He's the strongest among the new generation of superheroes. I know. Hugh Wilder mumbled, but he accidentally destroyed a convenience store when he was fighting Akira Oda, and that's where Lucas Garner's child works part-time. Ropes and wood. 100 units of wood and 30 units of rope. That's MY Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Hugh Wilder did not ask for more food. Instead, he chose resources. Not for anything else, but to make my own life a little better. Although this panda is still young, its strength should not be underestimated. Those few earlier blows nearly collapsed this thatched hut. It's still only morning. If the system prompt is true, and there's still danger tonight, then upgrading to a log cabin is the priority. With these resources, plus the cabin blueprints he had acquired, he would have an extra layer of security. The system pondered for a moment, and then finally gave its answer. Deal. Ding. The system prompt for resource acquired did not pop up. Instead, an announcement pop-up appeared. Congratulations to player Hugh Wilder for being the first to tame a pet. Congratulations to player Hugh Wilder for being the first to survive the beast tide. Pet leaderboard and beast attack scoreboard activated. 2 new rankings have opened again. Hugh Wilder stroked the panda's fur while opening his laptop. He did not immediately check the leaderboards or the chat interface, but instead remained on the first page. Do you want to upgrade to a log cabin? Materials consumed. Wood 100-100, rope 50-50. Small cabin blueprint 1-1. Upgrade. After Hugh Wilder confirmed his choice, another prompt box unexpectedly appeared before him. Upgrade to a wooden cabin. Possible triggers. Upgrade to a redwood cabin. Golden Nanmo cabin. Huanghuali wood cabin. Agarwood cabin. Mixed type cabin. You can exclude one of these options. Hugh Wilder stared blankly at the prompt box before him. He was not surprised, but hesitant. He doesn't know which type of log cabin is best. From a value perspective, the Agarwood house is definitely the best. It probably even comes with mosquito and insect repellent functions. However, in terms of structural integrity, an Agarwood house is definitely inferior to a Huanghuali wood house or a golden Nanmu woodhouse. As for the hybrid type, Hugh Wilder was worried it was made of compressed junk wood. How should I choose? Hugh Wilder was conflicted. He stared at the mixed-style cabin, wondering whether to eliminate this uncertain factor. Just then, a prompt box appeared, covering my view. Hybrid log cabin. The exterior uses golden silk Nanmu to ensure the sturdiness of the building. The base uses Huanghuali wood panels, and the interior is adorned with agar wood to repel mosquitoes and insects. Oh my, if I were you. I'd scrape off some agar wood powder every day to sell. That would be enough for a day's food. That works too. Hugh Wilder looked at the prompt box in front of him and quickly had a plan in mind. Exclude the redwood cabin. Rosewood. How can timber of this grade befit my status? Ding. Cabin under construction. Estimated completion in 10 minutes. Please wait. Host. A flash of white light instantly enveloped the entire thatched cottage. Hugh Wilder looked at the system prompt. It seemed the lottery drawing would be in 10 minutes. Anyway, I have food, drinks, and pandas to pet now, so there's no rush. Whoa. The panda beneath his palm suddenly made a sound, lifting its head and gazing with its black eyes at the white light before it, as if sensing something. Oh. And I need to give you a name. Hugh Wilder held up the panda with both hands, bringing it before him. You're so chubby, how about I call you Chubby Bear? Woof woof. The panda whimpered, seemingly not very fond of the name. Then let's call him Little White. The panda tilted its head, and instead of retorting, it smiled. Hugh Wilder was also somewhat speechless. You say you're a perfectly good panda, yet the system judged you as a wild bear. Why do you insist on liking a cat's name? Zayabe, Hugh Wilder called out again. Little Bai immediately smiled. Wow. Hugh Wilder also started laughing. He picked up Little White and turned back around to the front door, ready to continue enjoying his MRE. I just took a look. Inside, besides compressed biscuits, there was also a can of meat, a bar of chocolate, and a box of fruit candies. MREs. Then, they must meet all nutritional needs. Hugh Wilder PL a CED Chinese letter to the side, put his laptop on his lap, opened the chat interface, and opened the canned meat. The rich aroma of meat wafted into my nostrils and throat. It was simply a delight. Let's dig in. What's going on? The system just notified that someone survived the beast attack. Not only did they survive the beast attack, but they also adopted a panda as a pet. They're practically a deity. Hugh Wilder, that name sounds familiar. Why do I have a brown bear and the boss has a panda? I'm not playing fair. Is the boss a beast tamer, even a panda? Once it's grown, can be terrifying. The force of one slap is no less than that of a wild bear. Hugh Wilder, what in the world did you get from that iron strongbox? The idea behind the last message was extremely bizarre. He seemed to believe that Hugh Wilder had obtained something from the iron treasure chest, which enabled him to survive the beast attack and tame the panda. Hugh Wilder burst out laughing as soon as he saw the name. Ethan Stone. All right, long time no see. Hugh Wilder used the plastic spoon provided to dig a spoonful of meat from the can and put it in his mouth, typing 4 words into the chat interface. None of your business. The chat channel suddenly fell silent. However, in an instant, it became frantic again. Great master, please teach me how to tame pets. I'll trade resources for it, water, food, anything will do. Half a bottle of mineral water, in exchange for pet training methods. Are you still asleep upstairs? Half a bottle of mineral water. I'll trade a bucket of instant noodles for it. A bucket of instant noodles. Do you have hot water? Otherwise, you can only gnaw on the dry noodles. Hugh Wilder looked at the price in the chat interface, and a smile appeared on his face. It seems there are quite a few people who obtain surplus resources just in time for a harvest. Stock up on grain. just as Hugh Wilder was about to discuss the transaction details. Ethan Stone sent another message. Blueprints, I'll trade you for the wooden work. I've only used this method once. And for a very special target, a panda. If it doesn't work for you later, you can't ask for a refund. Seeing this message, quite a few people actually hesitated. Despite this, many people driven to desperation by the threat of beast attacks chose to make a deal. Especially Ethan Stone. I agree. Marketplace trade. A shopping mall. Hugh Wilder hasn't yet studied this interface. He flipped to the next page and suddenly found an extra line of text on it. Player Ethan Stone requests a trade. Do you accept? Trade count, 05. Are there still limits on the number of transactions? Hugh Wilder didn't dwell on it and chose to agree. The atmosphere at the negotiation site was tense. Hugh Wilder had just finished speaking, his words echoing with a hint of sarcasm. Across from him, Evelyn Harper and Lucas Garner exchanged glances, both visibly displeased with his provocative tone. Mr. Wilder, this is an official negotiation. Not a platform for character assassination, Evelyn Harper retorted, her voice cold and sharp as she looked directly at Hugh Wilder. Is that so? I thought it was a place to discuss the truth, Hugh Wilder said with a faint smile. His eyes fixed on Evelyn Harper. In the past, his gaze would have given her chills, but now it just felt unsettling. Evelyn Harper's heart was a chaotic mess, a mix of anger, hatred, and a strange sense of loss. She forced her emotions down, trying to regain her composure. This was not the time to be distracted by personal feelings. As the negotiation continued, the attendees were all seasoned professionals. While some might have been surprised by the personal jabs, no one dared to intervene. They simply listened quietly, taking mental notes. Paul Hughes, however, remained impassive throughout. The insults and sarcastic remarks directed at each other seemed to have no effect on him. He sat there, a silent statue, occasionally picking up the teacup beside him for a sip. From the outside, he appeared completely unfazed. Only Hugh Wilder knew that Paul Hughes was far from calm. His gaze, though subtle, was fixed on Lucas Garner. The man rarely spoke, but his presence was undeniable. The negotiations proceeded very slowly, almost to the point of stagnation. Both sides were locked in a stalemate, unwilling to yield. The other attendees, sensing the tension, did not dare to say anything. Each side was represented by a powerful figure. Hugh Wilder presided over one side, while Lucas Garner controlled the other. Evelyn Harper and Ethan Stone were present, but they were essentially just there for show. Finally, William Austin, seeing that the situation was at an impasse, raised his hand and spoke. Given that both parties are having difficulty reaching an agreement, perhaps we should take a break and resume the discussion another day. What do you think? I agree, Lucas Garner said, his gaze fixed on William Austin. I have no objections, Hugh Wilder replied, his expression unreadable as he glanced at Evelyn Harper. Since both sides have no objections, let's adjourn here today, William Austin concluded. With the decision made to adjourn, the atmosphere in the negotiation room lightened slightly. Some people stood up, ready to leave. However, Hugh Wilder remained seated, seemingly in no hurry. He watched as Evelyn Harper and Ethan Stone packed their belongings. Just as they were about to leave, he spoke up, his voice carrying through the room. Miss Harper, Mr. Stone. Please wait a moment. I have something to discuss with you too. The two paused and turned to look at Hugh Wilder. Evelyn Harper was puzzled, wondering what he wanted to say. Ethan Stone, however, frowned slightly, a hint of unease in his eyes. He had a bad feeling about this. What is it, Mr. Wilder? Evelyn Harper asked coldly, without any hint of politeness. Hugh Wilder chuckled, then stood up and walked towards them. His tall figure cast a shadow over them, intensifying the tension. It's nothing major, just some personal matters. He then walked past them and opened the door. Please come out. Both of you, Evelyn Harper and Ethan Stone exchanged a glance, a mix of bewilderment and apprehension. What did he want to talk about? And in private, no less. They both felt a sense of unease. But they had no choice but to follow him out. As they stepped into the hallway, the other attendees watched their departure, whispering among themselves. Only Lucas Garner and Akira Oda remained seated, their expressions unreadable. Paul Hughes, who had been observing them, also lingered. Lola King, however, seemed oblivious to the underlying tension as she continued to gaze at Paul Hughes, a lovesick expression on her face. Lucas Garner noticed her reaction and sighed inwardly. This negotiation had been far more exhausting than he had anticipated. Chapter 6, Woohoo, Taking Off. William Austin led a team of researchers exploring a newly discovered alien ruin. Among them was the historian Hugh Wilder, the linguist Evelyn Harper, the archaeologist Lucas Garner, the tactical expert Paul Hughes, the security chief Ethan Stone, and the technology expert Akira Oda. Their mission: to uncover the secrets of this ancient civilization and assess any potential threats it might pose. The ruin was vast, its architecture unlike anything seen before. Intricate carvings adorned the walls, depicting strange creatures and cosmic phenomena. Evelyn Harper immediately set to work, attempting to decipher the alien language. Hugh Wilder meticulously documented every artifact, while Lucas Garner supervised the excavation. Days turned into weeks. The team made significant progress. Evelyn Harper began to understand the basics of the alien script, revealing fragmented knowledge about their history and technology. However, the deeper they delved, the more ominous the atmosphere became. Strange energy fluctuations were detected, and the air grew heavy with an inexplicable pressure. One day, while exploring a chamber deep within the ruin, Akira Oda's sensors picked up an anomalous energy signature. Suddenly, the ancient machinery whirred to life, and a hidden door slid open, revealing an enormous hall at its center. As they entered the hall, they saw a colossal device throbbing with an eerie light. It looked like a massive portal. Paul Hughes, ever cautious, ordered his team to prepare for a potential threat. Ethan Stone had his men ready. Just then, an ethereal figure materialized from the portal, a being of pure energy, shimmering with a soft glow. This being introduced itself as Lola King, the guardian of the portal, and explained that the device was a dimensional gate, a bridge between worlds. She had been observing humanity for centuries and, seeing their arrival, decided to reveal herself. Lola King warned them that while the portal offered unlimited possibilities, it also contained immense danger. She then offered them a choice: either to close the portal and return to their world, or to venture through it and discover the secrets of the universe. William Austin and his team faced a momentous decision. After much deliberation, they chose to explore the portal, driven by the thirst for knowledge and the potential for new discoveries. With Lola King's guidance, they activated the portal and stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay beyond. An interface popped up very quickly. On the left, it shows Hugh Wilder with nothing below. On the right, it shows Ethan Stone with a blueprint placed below. Hugh Wilder shifted his gaze, receiving a message. Blueprint, wooden workbench. A simple and rough workbench capable of processing and manufacturing some wooden tools. Hope you're not smoking when you use this. And it's best not to light up a cigar either. When you're truly surviving in the wilderness, having a luxury item like a cigar probably isn't as practical as a piece of bread. Hugh Wilder confirmed it was genuine, so he typed a line into the trading box on his left. The system seems to encourage the buying and selling of intelligence. There's even a dedicated text input interface in the trade section. Raise your right hand. Stroke the beast's head and make eye contact with it. Then you can tame it. The message editing was complete. Hugh Wilder clicked confirm transaction and then waited for the other party's confirmation. Almost the instant Hugh Wilder clicked, the other side also clicked confirm. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received 1X building blueprint, wooden workbench. Paul Hughes, an associate researcher at the Institute of Archaeology, Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, replied, "It's not about being afraid of responsibility. There is indeed a large tomb down there. Our initial detection shows it's a very large tomb from the Han Dynasty. Possibly a royal tomb. Such a tomb holds immense historical value. If we excavate it, it must be done with the utmost care, fully prepared, and with the approval of the State Administration of Cultural Heritage. We cannot act recklessly. If it is indeed a royal tomb, its archaeological value would be immeasurable. No mistakes can be made, but we are a rescue archaeology team. Our duty is to protect cultural relics that are about to be destroyed. If the tomb is perfectly preserved and there's no danger of it being destroyed now, then there's no need for us to excavate it. Besides, our Institute of Archaeology doesn't have the resources to excavate such a large tomb right now." Hugh Wilder smiled slightly as he watched Evelyn Harper take a deep breath, her chest rising and falling. "Are you feeling better?" he asked gently. Evelyn Harper nodded. She then looked at the archaeological team members. "So, you are saying that if this tomb is not facing destruction, you will not excavate it?" Paul Hughes nodded. "That's how it is. Of course, we will report our discovery here to the State Administration of Cultural Heritage, and they will decide whether to organize an excavation." The corners of Hugh Wilder's mouth curled into a slight smile. He then pointed to the large hole in the ground and said, "What if this tomb is facing destruction? As you can see, this is a sinkhole. It appeared overnight. Now it's just this big. But who knows how big it will get tomorrow? We've already had 43 villages and towns disappear. Who knows how many more will vanish tomorrow? The entire mountain might collapse then." Paul Hughes and Ethan Stone looked at each other. Such a large sinkhole was indeed a serious threat to the tomb. If the sinkhole continued to expand, the tomb would inevitably be destroyed. This was a situation that called for rescue archaeology. "But this," Paul Hughes hesitated, then said, "even if it's rescue archaeology, we can't decide it on our own without reporting it to our superiors and getting approval from the State Administration of Cultural Heritage. We need their instructions to start the excavation." Hugh Wilder smiled. "The situation is urgent. I have already communicated with the State Administration of Cultural Heritage. They have agreed in principle to excavate the tomb. They also said that if you need any resources, money or personnel, they will fully support you. The only condition is that the excavation must succeed. Nothing in the tomb can be lost, damaged, or stolen. Nothing can go wrong. If something does go wrong, you will be held responsible." Paul Hughes and Ethan Stone exchanged glances again. If that was the case, they would have no choice but to excavate. They were a rescue archaeology team, and their duty was to protect cultural relics that were about to be destroyed. If they refused to excavate a tomb that was facing destruction, they would be derelict in their duties. "Okay then, we will apply for immediate excavation," Paul Hughes said. Hugh Wilder nodded. "Good, but there are a few things I need to tell you first. First, this tomb is very dangerous. Second, this tomb is not from the Han Dynasty or any other dynasty known in our history books. Third, you must ensure the safety of all team members. Fourth, if you encounter any strange or inexplicable situations, you must report them immediately to me and William Austin. You must not act recklessly. Fifth, our special operations team will also participate in the excavation, but you will be in charge of the archaeology, and they will be in charge of security." Paul Hughes and Ethan Stone were shocked. This tomb was not from the Han Dynasty or any other dynasty known in history. What did that mean? Could it be a prehistoric tomb? Even if it was prehistoric, it should still belong to a known historical period. Could it be an alien tomb? That was even more unbelievable, and he mentioned that the tomb was very dangerous. What kind of danger? There were also special operations personnel participating in the excavation. This meant that this matter was not as simple as they thought. Lucas Garner, Lola King, and Akira Oda also looked surprised. They knew that Hugh Wilder's identity was unusual, but they didn't expect him to be so influential. Directly contacting the State Administration of Cultural Heritage and having them approve the excavation of such, that was even more unbelievable, and he mentioned that the tomb was very dangerous. What kind of danger? There were also special operations personnel participating in the excavation. This meant that this matter was not as simple as they thought. Lucas Garner, Lola King, and Akira Oda also looked surprised. They knew that Hugh Wilder's identity was unusual, but they didn't expect him to be so influential. Directly contacting the State Administration of Cultural Heritage and having them approve the excavation of such an important tomb. Moreover, he also arranged for special operations personnel to participate in the excavation. This was simply too powerful. Ethan Stone was the first to react. Director Who? What exactly do you mean by this tomb is dangerous and not from any known dynasty? We have been doing archaeology for so many years and have never encountered such a situation before. If you don't make it clear, we will not dare to excavate it. Paul Hughes also nodded. Yes, Director Who. Please clarify. This concerns the safety of our team members. Hugh Wilder gave a faint smile. You'll know when the time comes. All you need to know now is that the things inside are priceless. But they are also very dangerous. Got it. Ethan Stone exhaled slowly, watching the brown bear repeatedly pawing at the wall outside the window. I hope this thing works. The window, nearly 1.5 meters high, only offered a view of the brown bear's midsection. He froze when he moved his gaze to the trade window. Stroke the head of a beast. Are you kidding me? That brown bear outside is at least 3 meters tall. Asking me to pat its head is like asking me to serve myself up as its next meal. Phew. Ethan Stone let out a long sigh, his hands trembling as he opened the chat interface and typed, Hugh Wilder, you're not messing with me, are you? Looking at the message Ethan Stone sent, the chat interface once again buzzed with discussion. Did you make the trade? Ethan Stone, what's the method? Please share. Upstairs, freeloading is bad karma. I'll offer a bottle of mineral water for a used strategy guide. Hugh Wilder watched the messages fly around, also knowing that his method was a bit unusual. But this is genuine intelligence. If you insist on buying it, there's nothing I can do, is there? Believe it or not. Hugh Wilder typed in the chat interface. Anyway, this is how I got my pet. Believe it or not. I don't care. Regarding buying second-hand strategy guides, your esteemed Ethan Stone doesn't even tell you what he gets from wooden chests. Do you really believe he wouldn't fabricate a guide? Bastard. Ethan Stone swore. Even if Hugh Wilder didn't add that last sentence, he wouldn't dare to sell this guide. After all, the absurdity of this strategy was almost on par with the idea of lifting oneself by one's bootstraps. If he sold it, the other party would likely suspect him of forging the guide and curse at him in the chat interface. By then, Hugh Wilder would definitely not come forward to testify for him. By the way, there are only 4 transaction slots left. First come, first served tilde. As soon as Hugh Wilder sent that message in the chat interface, his store page started flashing wildly. All are trade request messages. He chose 4 names that appealed to him and traded with them, obtaining 5 bottles of mineral water, 2 cans of food, and a wooden key and treasure chest. Someone got the treasure chest, but didn't open it. That's true, if someone has sufficient resources to survive. They wouldn't want to risk opening a treasure chest. After all, dangers can also emerge from treasure chests. Once the 5 trading limits were used up, Hugh Wilder opened the chat interface and typed a line. By the way, I forgot to tell everyone that the beast that attacked my hut was a giant panda, about 60 centimeters tall, stout, and estimated to be female. This method might not work if the target species are different. As soon as the message was sent, Ethan Stone, and the 4 others who had purchased pet-catching methods all exploded with reactions. They weren't so lucky as to get a juvenile panda. If they really had gotten a panda cub, they wouldn't be in such a hurry to buy a guide. But what good does that do? Scolding Hugh Wilder in the chat interface. Better to think more about how to get through the beast attack. Done. Tomorrow's food is sorted too. Hugh Wilder popped a fruit candy into his mouth, put all the traded resources into his backpack, then turned to the first page of his notebook and began counting down. 3 seconds left until the cabin is complete. 3, 2, 1. The white light in front of them vanished instantly. A wooden hut, about 3 meters high, with a conical roof and a single window, appeared before them. The straw hut on the notebook has also transformed into a wooden cabin. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received the mixed cabin, Hugh Wilder. Congratulations to player Hugh Wilder for being the first to own a wooden house. Would you like to make a server-wide announcement? Mixed log cabin. A wooden house that's warm in winter and cool in summer. Sturdy on the outside, and even comes with mosquito and insect repellent built in. Woohoo, let's go. I'm rich. Hugh Wilder felt as if little dinosaurs were rampaging in his chest, and his blood rushed to his head. This feeling is like casually buying a lottery ticket and becoming a millionaire the next day. Calm down. Take a moment to calm down. Hugh Wilder let out a long sigh, put on his backpack, picked up Little White, pushed open the door, and walked into the log cabin. The moment the door opened, a sweet fragrance assailed my senses. Ding. Affected by the scent of agarwood, work efficiency +1, sanity +1, sleep quality +1. Hugh Wilder's eyes lit up. He hadn't expected this item to come with its own buffs. It was simply top-notch. Unfortunately, Hugh Wilder scanned the room. Besides the wooden box that was already by the door, there were no other items in the entire room. Tables, chairs, beds, nothing. The agarwood scent he had previously noticed also emanated from the wooden box. It seems some things still need to be built by oneself. The revolution is not yet successful. Comrades still need to work hard. Hugh Wilder mumbled, his mood considerably calmer. He carefully placed Little White, who had fallen asleep at some point, next to the wooden box, then opened his laptop again. He should begin negotiating with the system. However, before negotiating, he needed to see what buildings were beyond the wooden house to have a goal for his negotiation. Hugh Wilder opened the first page and clicked the upgrade button. Ding. Do you want to upgrade the log cabin to a wooden house? Materials consumed: wood 0-200, rope 0-100, iron nails 0-50, dovetail joint skill, wooden house blueprint 0-1. Tools required: hacksaw, wooden mallet. Tip: the wooden house provides an exploration range of 10 meters forward and 1 meter to each side, and is immune to damage from F-grade beast attacks. Wooden house, unlike a simple log cabin. A good wooden house features 1 bedroom, 2 living areas, and a spacious viewing balcony. If you landed on the seaside at random, then this is a detached villa with a sea view. Unfortunately, there's no kitchen or bathroom. Hugh Wilder read the prompt box once and couldn't help but frown. F-grade beast attack. Beast attacks are graded. If that's the case, I'd better upgrade to a wooden house quickly. His heart stirred, and he immediately called out, "System, if you want to announce it, fine, give me the blueprints for the wooden house." Impossible. Change it. The second day brought a special guest. Hugh Wilder was not a member of the Hugh Wilder team. Strictly speaking, he was a member of the management team. He had come to the base today specifically to inspect the operations there. Since Hugh Wilder was in charge of the base, he could only follow along. "Oh, Lucas Garner wants to participate. Hugh Wilder glanced at the data sent by Ethan Stone and the notice from the management team. He then looked at the silent Hugh Wilder. Yes, Lucas Garner wants to participate, Hugh Wilder repeated. It seems you didn't explain the situation clearly enough. Or he didn't listen carefully. Hugh Wilder said with a smile. What conditions did you agree to? Hugh Wilder shook his head gravely. No conditions. He said he would participate unconditionally. Hugh Wilder laughed and then looked at Hugh Wilder. Since he volunteered to participate in our selection, we should accept him. Perhaps this Lucas Garner really has some special talent. Should I prepare anything? Hugh Wilder asked. Hugh Wilder thought for a moment before saying, no need to prepare anything special. Just let him follow the regular selection process. He is just another participant, nothing more. However, you should pay attention to how he performs. I understand, Hugh Wilder nodded. I hear you have a new team member here. Hugh Wilder looked at Hugh Wilder. Yes. Her name is Lola King. Hugh Wilder nodded immediately. Lola King, an interesting name. How is her performance? Hugh Wilder asked. Hugh Wilder paused for a moment and then said, she is very good. Her current performance is outstanding. Hugh Wilder glanced at Hugh Wilder and then looked away. Good, perhaps she is a good seedling. The selection process was conducted according to the original plan, without any special treatment for Lucas Garner. Hugh Wilder also spent the entire day on the base, aside from accompanying him. Hugh Wilder had to handle the internal affairs of the base and pay attention to the selection process. This made him feel somewhat overwhelmed. Fortunately, Lucas Garner did not cause any trouble. He participated in the selection like an ordinary person, without any complaints about the intensity of the training or the harsh conditions. This greatly surprised Hugh Wilder, based on what he knew about Lucas Garner. He was someone who lived a life of luxury and would never endure such hardship. Was this truly the same Lucas Garner he knew, or was it an act? Hugh Wilder was skeptical. Evelyn Harper arrived at the base a day later. It was almost evening when Evelyn Harper arrived at the base. Coincidentally, Hugh Wilder had just finished his inspection and was about to leave. The two met face to face. Hugh Wilder smiled. Evelyn Harper, what brings you here? Evelyn Harper also smiled. I heard that Lucas Garner is here, so I came to take a look. Is that so? I thought you were here to see Hugh Wilder. Hugh Wilder chuckled. Lucas Garner was just a minor figure in his eyes. Naturally, I also came to see Hugh Wilder. Evelyn Harper said with a smile. By the way, how is Lucas Garner doing? He's doing very well. Surprisingly, he endured the entire training day without a single complaint. Hugh Wilder responded. Evelyn Harper's smile froze for a moment before she looked at Hugh Wilder. Is that true? Hugh Wilder nodded. The three of them chatted for a while before Hugh Wilder and Evelyn Harper left together. Hugh Wilder shook his head, feeling utterly exhausted. It was a tough day. In the next few days, Hugh Wilder continued to stay on the base. Evelyn Harper also did not leave. And Paul Hughes also came to the base. The arrival of so many important figures from the management team put immense pressure on Hugh Wilder. Every day, he felt like he was walking on eggshells. He had to accompany them, explain things, and endure their endless critiques and questions. Even Ethan Stone, who was usually calm, looked at Hugh Wilder with sympathy. Hugh Wilder, you're looking a bit tired, Ethan Stone said to Hugh Wilder, offering him a bottle of water. Hugh Wilder took the water and drank a large gulp. That's how it is when you're working. How's the selection process going? It's progressing smoothly, Ethan Stone said. How are the new recruits performing? Hugh Wilder asked. Paul Hughes, Akiro Oda, and William Austin are all performing exceptionally well. They are clearly different from ordinary people and possess very good potential. I anticipate they will contribute significantly to the team, Ethan Stone said. Hugh Wilder acknowledged his words with a nod. And Lucas Garner. Lucas Garner can endure, which is unexpected, Ethan Stone said. His individual abilities are ordinary. But he has considerable courage and endurance. He hasn't quit yet and seems to be enjoying it. Is that so? Hugh Wilder frowned slightly. He couldn't see what Lucas Garner wanted to achieve. He had neither excellent individual ability nor outstanding contributions. Why would he endure such hardship? What was his purpose in coming here? Lola King is the most surprising. Ethan Stone suddenly said. Her performance has been consistently outstanding, far exceeding the average level of our trainees. Sometimes, I even feel she's stronger than our ordinary team members. Is that true? Hugh Wilder was also somewhat surprised. He had thought that Lola King's performance was already very good. But he didn't expect it to be even better. She trains